3 days in, let's talk about Zen crypto. Here in Canada, it was the Thanksgiving long weekend. I'm out here in the country. My whole family came out, had a great time. Normally, I have nothing to do with crypto or tech or anything out here. I don't even have regular internet access out here. But that being said, I did not want to miss the Zen crypto launch. I've been following it for a while. It's been discussed in the Hex-Xen community. So I did the unusual thing of bringing 2 private keys out here on paper, and I had installed MetaMask on a phone. I used 2 addresses that I don't normally use, 2 small wallets, as I'm not normally comfortable with using my mobile device for any kind of crypto. I have a separate computer that I do only those things on. After doing all that, going through all this effort, watching the countdown timer, figuring out when that's going to be in my local time, all excited, ready to go, had the 3-year-old daughter all lined up, put on her favorite movie, had treats ready, everything, get her settled in, and then I go to the website, and all of a sudden, boom, blank screen at launch. Then, I try again, and it's this infinite spinning, querying global state. Try it again, and again, and again. And then finally, boom, the site works. I'm getting all excited. And, it says I'm number 7,704. I was like, oh man, that's not where I'd hoped to be in the ranking, but hey, whatever. And then all of a sudden, boom, errors. Errors. And then it's like, well, that sucks. So then I try it again, and a different kind of error happens. And then, so I keep trying. And at this point, some time's passed. I've been doing other things. And then it connects. My wallet connects. That was another problem I was having. My MetaMask wasn't connecting to the site. And then it shows I have a global rank of 0. So the minting does not work. Then I try connecting yet again a little bit later, and it does the querying global rank circle again and again. And then finally it connects, and then I get this invalid contract error, address error, and it's like, oh, what's going on? I'm pretty much ready to give up on the whole thing and just enjoy my weekend out here in the country in solitude. But I try again, and then on my last attempt, where I was just ready to bury the phone away where I couldn't get to it, I finally got global rank 25,609. This was a couple hours into it at this point. And I did a 100-day stake, and yes, I know giving out that address will dox me, or that global rank number will dox that address. However, that address is a public address that I've used in the past, where I buy Hex and I do stakes, and I show people, how staking can lead to profit. So that address has been doxed already. I don't really care. And then I mint for 100 days. And then, according to the thing, I apparently will get just over 2 million Zen. Now, I don't know if that's actually going to happen after the 100-day mint, because it's always in flux based on the number of participants. And there's a lot of people out there with bots and flooding the system. But anyways, that's pretty much what happened there. So I finally got a hold of some Zen. And then with the other address, I chose to mint for only 2 days, and that was able to be claimed a few hours ago. So I ended up claiming over 100,000 Zen tokens. And this morning I was so excited. I was checking the phone, and I was showing the misses, and the thing was up like 700% to the moon. Like the prices were just outrageous, and I was like, wow, I have thousands of dollars of this stuff. Hey, maybe this isn't such a bad deal. But by the time I claimed and made it to Uniswap, and all of a sudden it was worth about 27 bucks. So what I decided to do was sell that chunk, retain some of my gas fees, or sorry, the portion that I sold was worth about 27 bucks. And you know what? I just chalked it up to I got a refund on my gas fees from this whole experiment. So I'm at no loss, at a zero. But I did save a little bit of Zen, and I entered into the liquidity pool with the Ethereum as the trading pair. And I'm just doing that temporarily. And I do intend on minting some more Zen. In fact, I reminted today with that one wallet, and I've minted it just for a few days. And when that comes out, and when I claim it, I intend on minting it and then adding it to a Hex-Xen liquidity pool. And in fact, I might withdraw the Eth-Xen that I have and just put everything in a Hex-Xen liquidity pool. But I'll go a little bit more into why I'm doing that later and why that makes sense to me. Doing a little follow-up on the Zen launch, watching a few videos. There's some nice clickbaity thumbnails where some dude has $1.3 million worth of free Zen, and for me, it didn't pan out that way. So I don't know if this guy had bots or what's going on there, if that was just clickbait. But anyways, there was a really good interview done by Crypto in the Morning, which is Jim Rat Crypto and Sam Stolt. And, I'll put the link to their video in there if you want to watch it. And it's with the creator of Zen, and that's Jack Levin. And at about 21 minutes in, he kind of mentions how he had only anticipated about 10,000 wallets or so in the first day doing the claim, but obviously it ended up being like 20x more than what he had thought. A little bit of the aftermath is, so far to date, about $3 million of Ethereum has been burnt on fees. You might think, well, what of that? But one thing you need to think about is when you use $3 million in Ethereum as fees, those fees, half of them get burnt because of EIP 1559. And with those being burnt, that means $1.5 million worth of Ethereum is burnt forever, just gone. So that's obviously good for the Ethereum ecosystem and pumps the Ethereum price. Man, I wish this had been launched on Pulse Chain, but it will move over to Pulse Chain in the future anyways. So this is bullish short term for ETH anyways. Jack Levin goes on to talk about a few other things. And, one clip he says is everyone is a Hex-Xen, whether they know it or not. I'm just going to play that quick.
Yeah, but the reality of the situation is that the Hex-Xen community understands self-custody, understands first principles of crypto, even though it wasn't really voiced in those particular terms. But I think in this community, in our community here, you remember how I used to say everybody's a Hex-Xen, they just don't know it yet? What I meant to say by that is that people eventually are forced to appreciate first principles when they lose their money to Celsius or to whoever else.
This crypto is about those old school thoughts, and that's what Hex was all about. And it's nice that he is part of the Hex ecosystem and does support Pulse Chain, but I try not to make that too much of a distraction from my goals in Hex and Pulse, but they do fit together. A little bit more on that after. So anyways, he does talk about issues with the phone and mobile users getting wrecked. And then this is the only thing that I find a little bit shady, This is the only downside. And me, I'm very much in tune with privacy. I believe people need privacy to function. If I give somebody money in the future in crypto, it's not right that they can look at everything I've ever done. So, I'm pretty big into that on the whole. And he says that in order to interact with the site from mobile, you have to make sure you turn your privacy settings off in MetaMask. Now, I'm not sure if I did that or not. I just recently installed it. Apparently, there was some kind of update. We'll just look at this clip here.
You will not be able to use MetaMask unless with the browser and with the protocol, unless you disable that privacy new toggle that they have. Let me just double check. I have a screenshot of it because I told my guys to look at it, and that's what they said. And when I disabled mine, it started to work. So privacy mode. I don't know if you can.
So there you have it. Your privacy settings need to be off. Why do I care about that? Well, one thing he talks about a lot in the interview is, and he's from Google. He's Google employee number 21. How much analytics he's been using, and just racking in all this data on Google Analytics about the users, and how he's got ways of tracking who's using bots and who's not, and all this kind of stuff. And I just hate it when data is harvested. That's the only thing. I do have some wallets, other ones that I probably will mint some Zen on, but just in case there's some kind of like, here's some free crypto dust, and we're going to dox you on, what device you're using or how you're connected to the internet to claim it. And then, Google would have the ability to possibly know who you are and who your wallet is based on which device you used, and if the device was registered to you, or, if you went through a VPN, or, whatever. I'm not going to get into it, but for me, it is a little bit of a turnoff. It's like, really, guys, like, I would prefer that the launch was a little more like Hex, where even if you did the Bitcoin free claim, the website didn't give a crap who you are. The contract didn't give a crap who you are. You could do it completely anonymous through Tor, and, not have to worry about doxing yourself in any way, shape, or form, even if that's metadata. So that's, one point for Hex there in my mind is, if you're privacy conscious, I just don't like that you gotta toggle the privacy off in MetaMask. And in this analytics, he shows all kinds of stats and, a world map. We can see where people are claiming, mainly in America, and a strong concentration in Europe. And surprisingly, or well, not surprisingly, a lot of people in Nigeria, like tons claiming. That's probably where, there might be a lot of bots. There's a lot of scammy things that go on there with the internet and crypto in Nigeria, but also a lot of adoption. So I'm kind of taking the wait and see approach on this. Like I said, I might, do a few more mints here in some other wallets, but my hardcore wallets, I am not going to touch it. And that's just, for my own personal skepticism and reasons. I'm not saying that it's unsafe or that data is being harvested. It's just how I feel about it. Looking at this from a trading money-making angle here for the last part of the video, trading started at above a cent, or about a cent. It went up slightly above a penny per Zen token, and then it just fell off a cliff, like feet held to the fire, like just melting value away, just unbelievable. So, I got my own price predictions based on the tokenomics, what I'm looking for. So today the price is at, I got it written down here, 0.000387. Being that it's just dropping, I expect this trend will continue as every day passes. More and more of these people who minted on this first day in this first rampage into the crypto are going to mint, and some of them will want to take profits. Some will have to take profits. Everybody's got their own reasons to sell. So I personally feel that the next time this thing hits any kind of a high, and I don't even know if it will ever hit its all-time high of a penny again, but, excluding the weird aberration which happens at the beginning of every crypto when a market is first created, I feel it will take at least 2 years for another all-time high. And part of that is, people minting now have the option to mint for about 400 days. And so there will still be a lot of latecomers in the next week or two while it's still worth it from a gas fee perspective to mint the tokens. And those people will eventually claim, some of them may stake, but that being said, some will sell or do whatever, enter liquidity pools. And I feel like you'll need 2 years to hit any kind of new all-time high. Most likely by then, we should be in some sort of crypto bull run. The first mints, they had 100 days. The first few thousand or whatever that you could mint. I think it was the first under 100,000 only had the option to claim within 100 days. So I feel like there will be a big mid-January drop. I don't know that it'll be a dead 100 days after, because obviously there will be some people who are smart enough to front run it and maybe mint for 99 or 98 days because the default was set to 100. So a lot of people in a hurry, just like me, ended up clicking the 100 just because they were in a rush to get the transaction to go through and finally connected. So I feel like at some point in January, there should be an all-time low with this thing. And that is part of the reason why I entered the liquidity pool with the Xen ETH pair, because what will happen is, as I'm supplying both sides, so as the token drops in price, I will be slowly accumulating and also gaining on the trading fees. So I hope to have a bigger bag at that point in time when it hits a low. Again, I could be all wrong on this. This is speculation. My price target for mid-January is an easy half from here. So like I'm talking, a 1/100th of a cent, or, maybe even less. So, for sure, I feel like it's going to go down. I'm going to write my price prediction for January here. And I think that's the minimum it will drop from here. It might even be lower. And that's just so that I can go back and look at it one day and see how I did. February 2024, that's about 2 years in here. And I feel like, we could hit a high of probably 1/10 of a cent. And that's provided we're in a bull run and, all the sellers and free claimers that didn't want to be part of the project have already had the chance to dump or get washed out. So, that's what I'm looking forward to. One of my strategies with this is eventually to remove my Eth-Xen liquidity, and then I'll have some more tokens that I have since claimed. I'd already mentioned that I was doing this. And what I'd like to do is go back to Uniswap version 2 to provide liquidity. And I'm going to do Xen Hex as the pair. Why would I do that? Because your version 3 liquidity probably won't get forked over onto Pulse Chain. So if you have Hex-Xen in version 2, that will be copied over and accessible from the Pulse X, the swap that Richard Hart is coming out with. And we know the ETH is going to be tinkered with by the AMM bot, whatever's going on there. Things will be leveled out or harvested or switched around in some way. The bot's going to take care of that. So if you have ETH in version 2, it's going to get tinkered with, and it's going to get reduced in value, I guess, or however we want to call it. And you can save yourself from that by holding ERC20s that are not ETH, right? Because you're going to get heavily diluted on your ETH like nobody's business. Like everybody else is getting piles of the Pulse token, and then your ETH is basically going to be just like crypto dust once that translates over onto Pulse. So this way, if I'm not quite there at the Pulse chain launch, I will have something in a liquidity pool with 2 projects that I like. I mean, I'm a bigger fan of the Hex project, but this way, when things are swapping and liquidity is moving around on Pulse chain at launch, any things that happen to the Hex price dumping, like let's say people dump Hex to buy the Pulse token, well, as that drops, that's going to force more liquidity on the Xen side. And I just feel this is a weird way to kind of hedge myself and perhaps profit a little bit going into Pulse chain. So that's going to be my strategy going forward. I'm not all in on Zen token. You know, I will consider myself a community member. Honestly, my first interactions with it were, you know, not the way I wanted to, and you know, the whole first impressions thing. I am going to be staking some Zen, and all of that is coming to Pulse Chain as well. And Pulse Chain's where I want to be in the future. So this is just one of the ways to play on that. And, you know, look forward to seeing everybody out there on the Pulse Chain launch when it happens. Don't forget about it. As soon as we get a date, you know, mark it on your calendar and get your crypto portfolio ready for that. When that copy happens, you don't want to be holding useless things like stable coins that will have no value on that side. Make sure you're holding other crypto assets so you can participate in the ratio trading. And thank you very much for watching this.